This is the time and place for the zoning administrator's hearing for September 2, 2009. My name is Edith Fuentes, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. We have one case today, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panel located directly behind me. Let me just quickly go through our hearing procedure. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if four required findings are present. 1. That the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. 2. That there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. 3. That the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And 4. That the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the zoning administrator can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read the description of the application or the request, and then read reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will make a brief presentation and overview of the case and will make a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward stating both name and address and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak. Again, clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. I would like to emphasize that the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from our Building and Safety Section from its Services Center located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of these speaker forms which have been provided by the front door and submit it to our planning assistant. I would like to also inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearing are recorded on tape as part of public record. This is case number PVAR 2009-021, Location is 2710 Hollister Terrace. Applicant is Janelle Williams. Property owners is Charles and Susan Lysing. Case planner is Gabriel Riza. This is an application for a variance to add 421 square feet of floor area to an existing single-family dwelling and construct a 52 square foot garage addition without providing the minimum 18-foot long driveway and 20 by 20 feet interior dimension for two-car garage. Located at 2710 Hollister Terrace in the R1R restricted residential zone, described as portion of Lot 221, tract number 7498. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments we received. From Fire Prevention Engineering, if the valuation is more than 40%, they may require you to install fire sprinklers. So that's something you're going to have to discuss with fire prevention. From engineering section, method of discharge of all on-site drainage shall be approved by the city engineer, and separate permits are required for all work within the right-of-way. Applicants shall bear all fees for necessary permits and construction inspection. Okay, other than that, no major issues or concerns from other departments. Mr. Riza?
Good morning, Ms. Fuentes. This is Gabe Reza of the Planning Department. The proposed project, it will require the approval of two variances. The garage is located 17 feet from the front property line instead of the minimum 18 required driveway length. Additionally, the garage proposes an addition which does not meet the 20 by 20 interior dimension garage requirement. The proposed garage addition will expand the garage to a dimension of 19 feet by 18 feet 6 inches. In the R1R zone, the intent of the minimum driveway length standards are to design and ensure that automobiles parked on the driveways will not impede access for pedestrians, walkways, on sidewalks, or visions such as to create safety concerns. The project proposes a 17-foot, 2-inch driveway, which is just 10 inches short of the required 18-foot long driveway. The Public Works Department has confirmed there is no right-of-way located along the front property line and does not intend to impose any street improvements within the city block. Given the depth of the unimproved right-of-way, the driveway can fulfill the purpose of this regulation. The front yard is fully landscaped and well-maintained. The city does not have any special setback ordinance on Hollister Terrace. In regards to the substandard garage, the existing building was built in 1940 when at the time of construction a 15-foot 2-inch by 19-foot garage was permitted. Staff believes that the intent of the zoning code was to ensure that adequate parking would suffice the residential occupancy. No new bedrooms would be added as a result of this project. There are overall site constraints such as having a steep slope at the rear of the property and an insufficient interior setback prevent the applicant from providing a 20 by 20 interior dimension garage. An additional setback variance would be needed if the applicant wanted to expand the garage to the current code requirement. A new 16-foot required garage door will be added along with new concrete driveway extension that will allow the continued use of this garage. Adherence to the standard setback and other ordinance for the subject site, it would result in an unnecessary hardship and impractical restrictions on the property, with no apparent benefit to the general public's health, safety, and welfare. Granting the variance will allow the owners to expand the residence for a more habitable space. Staff believes that a 19 by 18-foot 6 garage will continue to adequately service the homeowners and improve the existing non-conforming condition. On to the recommendation. Staff believes that all findings can be made in a positive manner due to the project's small scale, lack of any likely impacts, anticipated design improvements, and topographic conditions. Staff recommends approval of this variance.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go through the... Okay. To present the case, Janelle Williams. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. Good morning, Ms. Fuentes. My name is Janelle Williams, Williams Land Use Services, 2418 Honolulu Avenue in Montrose. I'm here with the Lysings, Tracy and Jeff, and Mr. Lysing will make a presentation to you and better illustrate what it is that they're trying to do today. I'll start just by going through the 4 findings of the variance unless you have any questions before I start.
Can I, who's going to walk me through the site plan or the proposed addition?
Mr. Lysing.
Okay. Can we do just that
Certainly.
first? Because I want to orient myself
Yes.
with the project, and then we can go through the findings. How's that?
Very good.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Charles Lysing.
Lysing, right.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we're proposing to do is more related to trying to beautify the front of the house than anything else. What I've been attempting to come up with an approach for 10 years, and I spent a lot of time looking around Glendale and La Cañada for architectures that would fit this style. The problem is that some 15 or 20 years ago, we made an addition, and we didn't have a view of what the addition would look like from the front, and it's
You're gonna have to
Been
talk.
well-
You're gonna have to talk to me.
okay. It's never been well integrated into the house,
Okay.
and we have a very, very small dining room and a very small living room. So what we're attempting to do now is we're going to integrate the addition into the house with a constant roof line, and put dormers in. We're adding an addition to the dining room, a 10-foot addition.
Do you want to come up here and
Sure.
walk me through the site plan? Yeah. There's the pointer right there. And if you want to show those pictures up there, then
Okay. So this is the current view, and it looks okay from up the street, and it looks okay from down the street, but when you're right out at curb view, it's pretty ugly. You don't see any of the roof. The addition is not integrated in with the rest. The roof, the windows on the roof don't match the garage or the rest of the house. So what we're proposing to do is basically do this: integrate, come out a little bit with the roof, and then down, straight down. This shows a break, but we're going to be coming straight down. We're going to put dormers in. We're adding a 10-foot addition to the dining room here.
there's your dining room
Right, the dining room.
right there on the first floor.
Right, right. So we're coming out here 10 feet for the dining room. We're changing the roof line of the garage to let it match what's in the dormers and the dining room addition. And we're coming out 3 feet here on the garage to the 5-foot property line.
Wide. To make it wider.
To make it wider so you can get 2 cars into the garage, 2 cars into the driveway. So what we're faced with is that we're only a little more than 17 feet from the curb here, and so we find it very difficult to meet the 18-foot requirement without moving the whole garage back. But we have just repaneled a den in here with oak custom cabinets. We did that about 3 years ago, and we certainly don't want to break into that room back there. So that's basically it. We're coming down with a roof line, putting dormers in, adding this addition, closing the front porch to increase the size of the living room, and then building a new front porch here with an entranceway, changing the roof line here and moving this wall out 3 feet. That's the idea.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Williams, do you want to? Now we can proceed.
As you can see, he's adding 421 square feet, but it's being distributed throughout the house. It's not all going in one location. The first finding, how will the strict application of the provisions of any such ordinance result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance?
That's the first thing.
We're not proposing any changes to the use of the property, only an exception to the development standard for parking. That is the provision of a two-car garage which does not meet the 20 by 20 interior minimum dimension, and maintenance of the existing driveway, which, while accommodating the family car, still does not meet the full 18-foot minimum length required. At the time the house was built, though, the regulations of the day were met. The subject property is 8,676 square feet. Certain features of the property make complying with the zoning standards difficult and would create a significant hardship, which the variance process is intended to alleviate. If the strict application of the provisions of the ordinance were applied in this case, the property owners would not be able to do the modest upgrades that they propose. They would have to sacrifice actual living space to deepen the interior garage space, and the intent of the code is met with the current garage location, and the proposed upgrade will bring the garage further into compliance with the current standards. The existing home was built in 1940. The property owners have lived in the home since 1968, and as you can imagine, certain upgrades are needed at this time to modernize the interior and the front facade of the house and to make the home a bit more comfortable and practical for their needs. Currently, the home is 2,318 square feet with 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with an attached, oversized one-car garage. The addition of 421 square feet to the house will allow the property owners to have an upgraded living environment while not intensifying the parking demand. The garage will be improved to increase the interior space as well. The existing structure does not allow for a 400 square foot garage to be constructed without resulting in a front yard setback deviation or impacting the existing structure of the house. The garage addition we are proposing, however, would bring the site into greater conformity with the city code. Second finding. What exceptional circumstances or conditions apply to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood? But currently, parking is provided in an oversized one-car garage with an interior dimension of 15 feet 2 inches by 18 feet. We're proposing adding 52.3 feet to the garage, which will provide an undersized two-car garage with an interior clear dimension of 18 by 18. We're widening the driveway an additional 14 inches to 17 feet 6 inches. The driveway length will remain at 17 feet 2 inches, still long enough to accommodate the family car. The backyard is heavily wooded with several terraces and levels of elevation. Given the constraints of the lot and exceptional circumstances, there is no other option for the home to provide more parking. In fact, there's no reasonable option for remodeling towards the rear of the home. The owners are only doing a modest remodel to the front areas of the first and second floor and improving the front facade. And designing a full 400 square foot garage would require the applicant to either encroach into the allowable side yard, encroach into the front yard, eliminating house windows, or further shorten the driveway. Why will the granting of the variance not be detrimental to the public welfare? The proposed use will not constitute a nuisance nor be detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment. The project will not change the single-family residential land use and will remain consistent with the single-family residential general plan designation. Project is consistent with the R1R single-family residential zoning, given that the residential use of the property will remain consistent with the neighborhood and the requirements for parking are completely satisfied in their intent. The total amount of parking available along the front of the property satisfies the parking demand generated by the existing and future occupancy of the house and exceeds the amount of parking that will actually ever be needed for this use. The number of parking spaces available to the use will be sufficient for the continued safe, convenient, and efficient operation of the modest-sized house in that the location of available parking spaces will continue to provide safe, efficient ingress and egress and would not negatively impact surrounding properties. Diagonal parking is provided on the street and is adequate for the neighborhood and not exacerbated by this use. At this location, Hollister Terrace is not a through street. There's no thoroughfare at this extension of Hollister. Therefore, traffic to the area is limited to residents of that street section only. It's a cul-de-sac with a 60-foot right-of-way at the subject property frontage. The licensed property line extends all the way down to the curb. There is no sidewalk or public right-of-way, so you don't have pedestrians walking across the driveway at that location. And we feel that it's a reasonable request. Have any questions for me at this point?
Well, I have a few questions, but you answered them in your presentation,
Okay.
so I'm going to go ahead and call on Brett Marnell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brett Marnell. I live at 2722 Hollister Terrace, which is approximately 3 houses up the street from the leasing residence. Yeah, three houses. And I live in a house that also has an undersized garage that was built to code at the time. It's the white one. It's the white roof right there. Yeah.
Right there, okay.
Yes, that one. And I think that this proposed variance will benefit our street. I have a young child that we walk up and down the street all the time, and the short driveway is no issue to us or our children. And I would hope that you would approve the variance.
Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Marn, how long have you lived in your house?
3 years.
3 years? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3 years and 3 houses. Okay. Mr. Mike Mohill?
Morning.
Morning.
Fuentes. Mike Mohill, resident of Glendale, 31 years. The neighborhood that the applicant is looking at, the planner mentioned that there was no setback requirements in that area. And I believe there are. There has to be some type of setback
What?
requirements.
Special setback
No
ordinance.
special setback ordinance or requirement.
Oh.
That's what he's
Okay,
referring to.
that was the first
Thank
thing.
you.
All right. I've spoken with the owner. I raised a couple of questions with him. The dormers and the windows. I'm not an architect, but quite often when people do second stories, the windows don't match. Second floor doesn't match the first floor. Looks weird. Is what he has right now, and he wants to correct it. And I'm just wondering, is the proposed windows he's making, will it be rectangular enough to be in balance with the first floor? I'm not an architect, but an architect, well, not all architects do it right, so let's not go there. Okay, that's one. So the windows dimensions for aesthetic reasons. Number two, would like to see wooden windows to make it more traditional. I think the design itself would be a tremendous improvement to what's there right now. I have a reservation that the size of the, the construction, the mass of it, okay, with the setback from the street. That concerns me, because I think could that happen? I know, have you ever driven up Hollister Terrace?
Yes.
Up, if you know, on the right-hand side where this property is, there's no parking. Okay, all the parking is across the street. So I just wondered, will the mass of it be something to look at? I'm not saying plus or minus. I'm just saying this. It does concern me of the size of it,
Okay.
because the architect of the proposal looks nice to me.
And those are very legitimate concerns. However, this is going to go before Design Review Board, so I'm sure Mr. Lysing will be more than willing to discuss some of those issues with you after the hearing. And then when it goes to Design Review Board, you may be able to raise the same issues or concerns.
How about when you say design, you're talking about like the windows, that kind of a thing?
They will. They will be reviewed by Design Review Board.
How about the size, the scale of the project? And where's by adding the...
Well, they still, the project is still within the maximum lot coverage allowed by code.
Okay.
Allowed by floor area ratio is still okay.
Okay.
Setback is okay.
Fine.
So it's just your issue, the massing and the bulk, and that's all. The windows, what type of materials will be used,
Correct.
if it's gonna match the existing, or design review will require them to put something else. But those are design issues that will be addressed when this goes before design review.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up those issues. And we'll make sure we take note of those concerns. Okay, is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Closing comments, Ms. Williams?
Yes. Yes, the Lysings took the plans and spoke with many of their neighbors, and we have, I believe it's 18 signatures in
Okay.
support. I'll give you that for the record.
Thank you.
And when I was up here last, I failed to make the fourth finding. I'd like to do that now. Why will the granting of the variance be in keeping with the objectives of the ordinance? We know that the intent of the regulation to provide adequate off-street parking will be preserved with the existing driveway and garage, and in that the modest improvements to the home will not result in the loss of any parking area. The code envisions allowing upgrades to single-family homes in order to keep them consistent with current residential standards and to ensure continuity and stability of owner-occupied housing in Glendale. This modest addition will enable the homeowners to enjoy an upgraded environment that does not generate the need for additional off-street parking. And the modest addition, while substantially improving the environment for the Lysings, will not trigger any increased parking demand. There will be no bedrooms added. There will be no bathrooms added, merely upgrading and reorganizing existing interior spaces. And the front facade and entry to the home will be improved. So we ask for your approval of our application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Case Planner, any closing comments?
No, Ms. Fuentes, I just wanted to clarify that, yes, the applicants do intend to submit a design review application shortly after.
Okay,
Right.
and I think Ms. Williams touched on the other item that the addition is not increasing the number of bedrooms. They're basically just making everything more functional, logical, and realistic to be used. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know, and close the public hearing at 10 after 10. Thank you.